Guys, in the darkness of the night, people don't just lose their way, sometimes, they lose themselves too. Every year, thousands of people disappear without a trace. Some eventually come back, some are found dead, and some leave behind nothing but terrifying questions. In today's story, we're going to talk about two cases, where every new clue became more horrifying than the last one. The first story is about a boy who was terrified of darkness, yet died in one of the darkest places imaginable. And the second story is about a woman who may have already been dead for months, while her messages continued haunting people's phones. As always, viewer discretion is strongly advised. Case 1. In 2021, in a quiet city in Northern America, there lived a 15-year-old boy named Ethan. Ethan was different from most kids his age. He loved reading books, he loved staring at the stars at night, and more than anything, he loved spending time with his mother. But he had one weakness. He was terrified of the dark. So terrified that if the light suddenly went out in the house, he would panic immediately. His mother used to joke and say, "You're getting older, but you're still scared of the dark." Ethan would just laugh. But nobody could have imagined that one day, that same darkness would swallow him forever. The strange morning. On the morning of July 12th, around 4 a.m., Ethan quietly walked out of his house. His mother was asleep. A nearby CCTV camera captured him walking alone. He was wearing only a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops. But the strangest part? He didn't look scared. In fact, he looked like he was going somewhere important. About 20 minutes later, the same camera captured him returning home. But now his flip-flops were gone. And the phone he had been carrying had disappeared too. Where did he go that morning? Who did he meet? Why did he leave behind his slippers and phone? To this day, nobody knows. The evening that changed everything. That same evening around 6 p.m. Ethan told his mother he was going to meet some friends for a school project. He left on his bicycle. He was carrying a backpack, and inside it was his laptop. Several CCTV cameras captured him riding through the city. But a few minutes later, one camera recorded him suddenly falling off his bike. People assumed it was just a minor accident. He got back up, and continued riding. But after that, things started becoming very strange. About 10 minutes later, another camera showed that his backpack was gone. Then sometime later, he appeared without his jacket. Then, without his shoes. And finally, in a deserted neighborhood, he was seen partially undressed. By now, he was miles away from the location he told his mother about. It almost looked like he was running from something. Or, following someone. The final footage. At 6:19 p.m. A security camera outside a nearby house captured Ethan for the final time. He left his bicycle behind and started walking. Ahead of him was an old underground drainage tunnel. Most people living nearby didn't even know the tunnel existed. A rusted metal gate covered the entrance. And inside, there was nothing but darkness. Ethan slowly walked toward it. And then, he disappeared from the camera forever. The search. When Ethan didn't return home by 10 p.m., his mother panicked. Police were called immediately. The next morning, the entire city was searching for him. His bicycle was found. His clothes were found. His helmet was found. But Ethan was nowhere to be seen. With every passing hour, the fear only grew stronger. Then, 5 days later, a search team entered the underground tunnel. Nearly a mile inside, they found a body. It was Ethan. The most terrifying part. According to the autopsy report, his cause of death was drowning. But that raised a horrifying question: why would a boy terrified of darkness willingly enter a pitch-black underground tunnel? And the biggest mystery of all, there was a large injury on his forehead. Did he fall? Or did somebody attack him? Police ruled it an accident. But Ethan's family refused to believe it. Because the tunnel entrance was so hidden, that even people living nearby for years barely knew about it. So how did Ethan find it? The midnight screams. Just when the case was beginning to fade away, a disturbing detail emerged. 2 nearby residents claimed that late that night, around midnight, they heard the sound of a boy screaming in the distance. One woman even woke her husband and searched outside. But they found nothing. Only darkness. Silence. And the sound of running water. To this day, Ethan's death remains a mystery. Some believe he was mentally distressed. Others think he was being chased. And some people believe he wasn't alone inside that tunnel. Case 2. In 2014, a 38-year-old man named Ryan was trying to move on after the end of a long relationship. He wasn't looking for anything serious. Just someone to spend time with. That's when he met a woman named Chloe. Chloe was attractive, intelligent, and the two connected almost instantly. For a few weeks, everything seemed normal. But then, one morning, Ryan received a strange text message. "What if we moved in together?" Ryan was shocked. He calmly told her he wasn't ready for that. But seconds later, his phone exploded with angry messages. "I hate you. You ruined my life. Never contact me again." Ryan was stunned. Just hours earlier, everything had seemed perfectly fine. So why did she suddenly snap? The disappearance. Over the next several days, Chloe's messages became increasingly strange. Sometimes she sounded loving, other times threatening. Then suddenly, she vanished. Her phone went silent. She stopped going to work. And she disappeared from her family's life completely. But strangely, the messages never stopped. Even her mother started receiving texts. "I moved to another city for a new job. But something felt wrong. The spelling was sloppy. The grammar was terrible. And Chloe had always written perfectly." Her mother immediately sensed that something was seriously wrong. The terrifying messages. Ryan blocked the number. But new messages kept appearing from different phone numbers. Then one night, Ryan was sitting alone in his apartment, when a text suddenly appeared. "That blue shirt looks good on you." Ryan froze. Because he was actually wearing a blue shirt. Which meant, someone was watching him. The fire. Months later, Ryan's new girlfriend's house suddenly caught fire. Her pets died inside the flames. Investigators believed the fire had been set intentionally. Then Ryan's workplace was vandalized. Bricks were thrown through his windows. And the threats became even more violent. But the most horrifying thing was still yet to come. The photograph. One day, Ryan received an email. Attached to it was a photograph. A woman, tied up with ropes, lying inside a vehicle. Ryan was horrified. Had Chloe completely lost her mind? Or, was someone else behind all of this? The biggest twist. Nearly 2 years later, detectives reopened the investigation. They checked Chloe's financial records. And suddenly, everything changed. There had been zero activity on her bank account for almost 2 years. No purchases. No withdrawals. Nothing. Which meant, there was a terrifying possibility. Chloe may have died the very same day she disappeared. But if that was true, then who had been sending all those messages? The horrifying truth. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered something unbelievable. One of Chloe's close friends had secretly become obsessed with Ryan. She was jealous of Chloe. And she created a horrifying plan. Police believe she murdered Chloe, then used her phone, email accounts, and social media profiles for years, convincing everyone that Chloe was still alive. She sent threatening messages, started fires, vandalized property, and terrorized people like a ghost haunting their lives. When police finally exposed the truth, everyone was left speechless. Because the woman they thought was mentally unstable had actually been dead the entire time. 2 disappearances, 2 terrifying mysteries, and one thing connected them both: darkness. Sometimes real darkness, and sometimes the darkness inside the human mind. Because often, the scariest place in the world isn't an abandoned tunnel or an empty road, it's the mind of another human being. And maybe that's exactly what makes stories like these so terrifying. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave a comment below telling us, do you think Ethan's death was truly an accident, or was there someone else inside that tunnel with him?